Let's be honest, you've all been half expecting this one from the very beginning. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, joy of joys, another random cis-straight white dude on YouTube trying to tell me what is and isn't offensive. What a crock of shit. Well, you know what? You're not entirely wrong. It is tragically easy for anyone in a position of privilege to take to their soapbox and wax poetic on any number of interests, including, but not limited to, societal injustices. And unfortunately, that's more often than not the only way said injustices can get any sort of mainstream recognition. Because for as easy as that is for privileged individuals, it's that much harder for those whose lives are actually being directly affected by those injustices to pitch in their 2 cents, whether it be due to intentional commercial sabotage or general disinterest in the public eye. And so, as a means of weaponizing whatever advantage I may have in addressing this matter, I'd like to offer 2 general rules of consideration when it comes to people taking personal offense to, well, whatever they may take personal offense to. Rule number 1, keep an open mind. Granted, this should go without saying, but hear me out. With as much misinformation and as many allegations as there are floating around the internet, I can easily understand the temptation in wanting to tune out any number of rage-induced rants one may come across while surfing the savage seas of social media. Believe you me, I'm no fan of drama or controversy myself, so I do my damnedest to try and steer clear of the proverbial icebergs. The thing to keep in mind, however, is that all these instances of outrage I'm referring to wouldn't be worth mentioning if they didn't have a basis in reality. I hate to say it, kids, but we're a stone's throw from living in the far-off, distant future of 2020. And even now, we're continuously, globally plagued by institutionalized racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, and countless other bile-inducing brands of bigotry. As such, the only way to remedy any of these deeply seated issues is to treat any and all accusations related to them as seriously as is required to put a stop to them once and for all. The longer you ignore an infected wound, the worse it's going to get. So as much as you may want to roll your eyes at any and all mentions of problematic elements tied to popular media, business practices, people of public interest, or anything else to that effect, I only ask that you take a few minutes out of your day to use your eyes to more closely examine these accusations before blindly dismissing them. Rule number 2. Consider the source. This, I cannot stress enough, regardless of the message. As unfortunate as the stereotype of the white knighting SJW may be, it would not hold any traction among self-proclaimed centrists in the ranks of the alt-right if, once again, there were no truth to it. Make no mistake, there is a distinct difference between legitimate allies to oppressed groups of people and holier-than-thou asshats painting themselves as martyrs for causes they have no stakes in. And it doesn't take too terribly much research for that difference to be made clear as day. Barring any extenuating circumstances, it's best not to try and play the mouthpiece for people whose problems you could never truly understand. That being said, I also encourage you to think twice whenever anyone attempts to dismiss a potentially problematic matter wholeheartedly, simply because it's not problematic to them. If I, a white man, were to come out and say that there's nothing harmful about a certain racially coded cartoon character simply because they don't make me feel uncomfortable or make my life more difficult, or postulate that my ability to order from a fast food establishment has any relevant correlation with the degree to which I am or am not being systemically oppressed on the basis of my sex or gender, well, it doesn't take a tripophobe to notice all the holes in those arguments. Suffice it to say, this is not an easy topic to discuss. I wouldn't have chosen it if it were. Despite the confident air to my words, I don't claim to have any definitive answers to any of the issues I've barely even touched on in this video, to say nothing of how we address them. All I'm asking is that you remain skeptical of those who would claim to speak for others who may have trouble being heard when speaking for themselves. At the same time, take care to remember that skepticism, while healthy, is no excuse for pig-headedness. Bottom line, be a Purim, not a cankry.